Hey folks, Scott Austin here from JadePuma. In this video, I'm just going to give a quick tutorial on how to use Notion. So I'm using Notion with the rest of the JadePuma team for every big project that we do with our clients. So that's like a store migration, a store redesign, a new store build. We use Notion for that. We have a ticketing system for a la carte, one-off issues, but we use Notion for the big projects. So the first thing is I use Notion on my desktop. I don't do anything on the phone. And I use the client, right? So here on my screen, this is not a web browser. This is an actual client for Notion that I downloaded. You can use it inside of a web browser. It works. I'm not going to show you how to do that, right? I like to get things working the best they can. You're going to get the best experience in the client. So if you go to notion.so, you'll see a link here at the top in the header for download, and you can go to Mac and Windows and click download the app, whichever one's appropriate for you. And the nice thing about that is, once you download the app, and if you get an email from Notion, the link will take you to the website. The website will automatically detect that you have the app and just open up inside of the app for you. So it's nice. So here in the app, your view is going to be a little different because you're just going to see your store. But let's look at fine linen and bath. What you want to do is there's two things that we're using. Let's just show you Fit My Foot as an example. So there's a resources section where I put links to the videos and any other things that we talk about or reference documents. I will put them in the resources section. And then there's a view of tasks. And in this one, this project's almost done. So most of the tasks are here under the completed section. You can see there's 203 of them and 13 under the deferred. And the client's got 22 left. So let's look at fine linen and bath. I've done multiple projects for them. So they've got multiple task lists. So we did a redesign for Mulberry Park. We did a redesign for Heritage Park. And now I'm working on a redesign for fine linen and bath. So if we look at that task list, this one here is, a much larger set of tasks that are not done yet. So here you can see we've already completed 105, deferred 4, but tons and tons of remaining ones. And by the way, that these aren't even all the tasks for the project because we're adding to the task list as we go. So for every project, every client, right, fine linen and bath is a client, what I do is I add the right people from the team. So here's Tom, here's Kendra, and here is Mary, all from the fine linen and bath team. I add them as users to that experience. Now, here on this page, things are a little bit laid out differently. That's why you want to go to the view of task page because that's, fuller screen width, less icons on it, easier to manage. And I like the board view. So projects that I'm working on or tasks that I'm working on are under the in progress section, and tasks that I hand off to the client are under the in progress client section. So this one says JadePuma, this one says client. And this database is actually the same database that's it runs all my clients' task lists. So don't go in, please, and change this client to be your company name because that changes it for everybody. So if we go back to Fit My Foot, if we were to change this client to be Fit My Foot, then up here in fine linen and bath, it would say Fit My Foot. And also, please don't add tags to the system because I try to keep things as simple as possible. If we start adding too many tags that are specific to given projects, then it becomes unwieldy. So let's talk about, what happens when I hand you a task. So usually when I hand you a task, right, let's just say customer reviews plan. And that means the customer reviews like judge me kind of thing. We have to come up with what our strategy is going to be. Usually what I'll do on something like this is I will take the task and I will drag it under the to do for client and that would assign it to, we'll put it under that list, but it doesn't assign it to anybody, right? So you can click and drag here, but what I also do is I open it up and it gives me this half screen view. And what I can do under status, right, I can click on it and it'll just change it. And I can change it to any one of the ones that I want to. So in this case, I would change it to in progress to do client. And then I would also assign it to the right person from that team um, to do that. And then they would get an email from Notion saying this task has been assigned to you. Now, I actually don't want to assign this one to them, so I'm going to put it back to the up next. And you can see what I also do here is things that are not in progress by either JadePuma or the client. I've got things that are going to be the next priorities. There's 24 of those, and things that are even farther out, so there's 72 of those. So you can get a feel for what I'm working on, what we'll be working on next, and what things we talked about. It's on the to-do list, but I'm not even thinking about it this time. And as I'm building out, usually as I'm doing a project, this no status list gets bigger and bigger for a while. And then we start burning it down to get it to 0. So for you, when I assign you a task, you're going to get an email notification. So let's say here, like when I assign this one to Tom, he should get an email notification that this task has been assigned to you. And you'll see here, Tom has sent me some notes, and then I've responded to him. So one thing to note is when you're in this comment section, which is a nice way for us to communicate back and forth, right? When you're in the comment section, what you should do is start off with an @ symbol, and then it brings up all the people that are appropriate for this project. So if you want to send it to me, you could say Scott Austin. But let's see how it happens when I type at, and I hit a T, and now Tom shows up. So now if whatever I put in here, test content, if I was to hit submit right now, which is this little blue button over here, Tom would get an email saying, hey, you've got a notification from Scott in Notion. Click this link to learn more about it. So as you're communicating with me, I will get an email prompt if you go ahead and do an @Scott and just pick that and say, hey, here's, I guess I should spell here's properly. Here's my thoughts. I hit return, it automatically submits it. I could hit that little blue button that's over there on the right. And now I'm going to get an email about this. Now, let's say you do your work and you want to assign this task back to me for reviewing or for whatever purpose. What you want to do then is two things, right? Under status, if you click it, you can assign it to JadePuma, into the in progress JadePuma section. That's step 1. And then step 2 is assign it to me as the owner. And when you do that, you can add people. It doesn't subtract the other one. So you want to subtract yourself, and then add me, and then you'll be good to go. Now I'm going to put Tom back there and remove me because I didn't want to do any of that. So that's how that one works. So then that's how we can communicate back and forth inside of a task, and how you can assign a task back to me. Now let's say you've got a task and you're done with it. So let's say Tom has removed Klarna content from the privacy policy. When he's done, all he's got to do is on status. If no one's checking it, or there's no test person, if you're testing your own task, you go ahead and just select completed, and what will happen is that content will remove from the in progress client side, and I'll show you that. So let's just put a test task in here. So on that test task, it's at the bottom of this list. We'll move it up to the top. See, you can even click and drag things and move them around if you want to, which is nice. So on the test task, all you have to do when you're done is say, hey, this is completed. Now before I do that, you'll see here there's 105 items under the completed at the moment. There's 21 under client in progress. When I do test task and move it to completed, there's now 20 projects here. There was 21 a second ago, and this is up to 106. So I keep these, they're called hidden groups. I keep them hidden or compressed because the list gets way too long if I have them open, and it makes things scroll forever. But you can click on one of them and see what's going on, what tasks have been completed in there and by who they've been completed. So that is how you manage tasks that I assign to you. You either respond back to me at Scott or at Michael or anybody else on the Jade Puma team, or you can assign it back to us if it's a task that we should carry forward from there on, or you can change its status to completed. Now, let's say you want to give me a task. You just found something out, like you know we want to enable web tracking with Pinterest or something. I don't know. I'm just making this up. Right, if you assign that under the in progress Jade Puma bucket, what would help me a little bit more than that is actually assign it to me as a person, right? So then I'll get an email. I only get emails if it's assigned to me or if you at Scott inside the comments. And so you could assign it to me, and in addition, you could even do an at Scott. And you can see there's multiple Scott Austins. The one that's me, the Jade Puma me, is the one with my image on there. Good looking guy there. At Scott Austin, hey, we need to add Pinterest tracking. And, we might even want to, I'm going to open up a browser here and go to Pinterest web tracking. Pinterest Analytics, and you can even, grab a URL and paste it into that task. So there's a URL section. All right, so that makes it easier for all of us to stay on the same page. And I do this a lot when we're working on the website. For example, here's a task for the Winter Park brand page, and here's the link to the Winter Park brand page. And if I click on that, it opened it up in a different screen over here. But if I bring that over, you can see that's a nice way for us to easily navigate to the thing we're talking about. So if you know the URL of the page where you're having an issue or talking about something, please put that URL in the task. It helps so much. So now I've got this enable web tracking with Pinterest task. I've got a URL, and I can say, well, I'm not in progress on the yet. I'm going to put it on the up next bucket, and so I can update the status of it if I want to. And I'm looking over here in my email to see if, emails haven't come in yet on these for me. Otherwise, I'd show them to you. And then, if a task doesn't need to be on there at all, and you don't do this often, usually I just move them to deferred or completed. But like this is a dummy task, so I can just go here, click on it, and hit delete. Now, another thing that I like to do with tasks is tag them when appropriate. Not every task needs to be tagged, but let me show you what the tags are and what I use them for. So, and these are the pre-canned tags that I've created. Like I said before, please don't add new ones because it applies to every project for every client. So a question is usually something that I'm going to ask you during our weekly meeting. And this is a great example of, on the site, they're using the British version of the spelling of gray, E, not the American version, A, and I just want to confirm with them that that's what they want to do, right? So it's a simple little question I'm going to ask them. And depending on what they say, I'm going to, add another task, like to change all the E grays to A grays, or I'm done because they want to keep it as E. A launch task is something that I have to do when we launch the site. So when we're working on an offline theme, there's a lot of activities that have to happen when I launch the new theme. And that might be changing navigation menus or changing handles of pages or setting up redirects and all that kind of stuff. So as I realize as I'm doing something like, oh, I'm working on this page right now, but I'm going to have to do this other thing for this page when I launch, I'll create a separate task and I'll tag it as a launch task. And I'll go through all those when I'm launching the store or launching the new theme for the store. A bug is, like it says, a bug that is code that we've already implemented but is wrong for some reason we have to figure out. Klaviyo is a Klaviyo task. Since I do so much Klaviyo work with my clients, I gave it its own tag. Same thing with Judge Me. Ask support means I'm talking to customer support for an app, and I'm still waiting on them for an answer back so that I can move forward. Content is we're going to create a page of content or content for the product, or we need an image. Content needs to create it, whether it's copy, image, or video. Review is usually one that I give to the client, which is like, I've created this page. Please review it before, or to accept it and give me feedback on it. And then pre-launch task is stuff we have to do right before we launch. So we got the things that we do while we're launching or after launching. Pre-launch are the tasks we need to do right beforehand, and that might be something like delete a specific like Shogun app that is used for page creation, because that'll just mess up our theme or something like that. So those are the existing tags, and you can use those and add those if you want, if you're creating tasks. But most of my clients don't create tasks, right? Most of my clients are just accepting the tasks that I give to them, and use the tags then to know that, oh, all I've got to do is review this rewards program page. So, just look at that one, for example. So this task is review the page. I'm going to bring that up. Oh, it's doing it on another screen over there. I just opened it up 4 times. Didn't see it. So here's that page. The client can review it and then give me feedback as necessary. If they're happy with it, they could send it back to me saying, hey, this looks great. Or they could just say, hey, this is completed. We are done. And either one is fine. So that's a little tutorial on how to use Notion. Notion also has plenty of documentation and tutorials on how to use their tools. This is just how I've set up Notion to work with my clients. Thanks.